behalf of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, a host country agreement which will allow us to establish an office here in Ghana. IFAD has not been known to have offices in countries, but now we have the first host country agreement in West Africa, which was signed yesterday. So we have a presence on the ground and we can interact more with MOFA, with Ministry of Finance and other partners in development. And most likely Ulash will be the one that will be posted here as soon as we can get all the necessary paperwork completed. Over to you, Mohammed.
Sorry, sir. Please, I would like to know
agriculture, a better figure, a better attractiveness, and this, nobody spoke a lot about the medias, but I think you medias have to do something for that in order to encourage people to go into agriculture and show that agriculture can help you make money as much as you are making, even more than what you are making. Somewhere else, the richest people are farmers. So let's help us to do that in Africa. Before I give the floor to my colleague here, Olach Demirak, who is in charge of our portfolio in Ghana, I just want to tell you that if we don't only help the government acquire resources from our own resources, to finance their project and their program as clearly stipulated by the president just now. But when we bring $1, we go around the world, try to find partners that come with us and add at least $1.5. So if we come to Ghana to finance a specific sector and we have $30 million, so we'll go out there and look for $45 million in order to add to our $30 million, so making it $75 million. And we have an indicator for that. So far, thanks God, we are succeeding to mobilize those kind of resources for the African countries. So these resources finance agricultural production, support to increase of production and productivity, but also income generating activities in the rural sector in general. So it is in that context that in Ghana, our work is, let's say, grouped into clusters. We have a cluster of agricultural production and productivity with 2 programs. And we have a cluster of rural enterprises. That's mean beyond agriculture, as I was saying, the president, what help people to create income generating activities, to create small scale micro enterprises or increase the existing ones. And we have a cluster to support financing, because all this is possible only if the farmers, the processors, the small scale enterprises can have access to resources. And we know it is a challenge. So we are also supporting the government in this area. And the last cluster in Ghana and in many other countries, but in Ghana here, we are supporting is all support related to community needs. That means support to community-driven development. Yes, it's good to farm, it's good to sell, but the community needs also schools. They need clinics at village level. They need sanitation. They need clean water. They need access to social, I will say, infrastructure. So these are the areas in which we are working. Now, on specific questions related to the Tuber project, Roots and Tuber project, what do we do and how it works? I leave my colleague in charge of Ghana, since the project is here to deal with it. Yeah, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity to explain very rapidly and very briefly as an example how the Roots and Tubers Improvement and Marketing Program works. The title of the project already implies it is a value chain program. So it is, since we call it the marketing program. So it starts from the market, and in fact the project, once it is effective, has institutionalized district stakeholder forums, where it assemblies assembles all the different stakeholders involved in the value chain of root and tuber products, including farmers, marketers, transporters, processors, businessmen, banks, rural banks, and so on. There's a discussion, and in these forums, actually, business deals can already be made from the farm gate up down to the markets. The project intervenes at the same time wherever, or the project intervenes at the same time on production by distributing improved seed material and helping farmers to create so-called farmer field forums, in which they themselves can practically undertake their own research, test new varieties and learn about it, exchange knowledge, and do knowledge management on these new varieties. At the same time, we promote good practices centers where improved processing technologies are being demonstrated to farmers. I will be happy to give you much more details on the projects and especially how they work in the country program approach, because there's also synergy with other projects later if you ask me. Thank you.
Now, presence.
And perhaps if I can start from a really broad perspective, from an African Union perspective, and ask, what is it that you have done thus far in trying to address some of the issues, not necessarily policy formulation, but the encouragement of countries and nations across the continent to, one, address the issue of greening the continent first off, and secondly, to look at real, sustainable, workable solutions to make that happen. And then I'm going to come to the other ministers and we can talk about examples more closely in individual countries. So perhaps, Commissioner, if I could begin with you.
Thank you very much. I'll pardon me because my voice is hoarse. And your question is related to really climate change, because you are talking about greening the African continent, but then at the same time also, this is the meeting which we are in on the Green Revolution in Africa. Now, the African Union Commission is the executive arm of the heads of state and government. And the heads of state, for them, they set the scene. They set the scene by putting in place policies, and then for us, we are supposed to roll them up, down, through the regional economic communities. Then the regional economic communities roll them down to the countries. As far as agriculture is concerned, and especially with the Green Revolution, it is quite large, because in 2003, we had the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program. And it has principles. The main principle which the heads of state have been pushing for, and for us which we have been monitoring, is how committed are the member states, how committed is the leadership at the country level. Because it cannot happen unless the leaders themselves do it. Now, for agriculture, if you talk from the lens of the farmer, I think one has to look at a number of areas. There are many issues. You can see for the last 2.5 days now, we have not been able to exhaust the topics. But I would like to talk about the importance of the markets and market integration, and how the continent can be able to really push intra-Africa trade, and then it becomes a catalyst for agricultural development on the continent. At the moment, we have about equivalent of about $4 billion intra-Africa trade as far as agriculture is concerned. But about $15 billion equivalent is traded with outside markets. Now, you can imagine a continent with so many people. For us, we look outside the continent, and yet the markets are here in Africa. So if we look at market integration, if we look at regional integration, for example, COMESA has got a program on Maize Without Borders.